For USCFootball.com, I'm Jack Smith alongside Chris Treviño for instant analysis from USC's Tuesday practice of Nebraska week. Back after the bye-in, USC is back in action on Saturday. Chris, it's the first first game week for USC with a new starting quarterback in Jayden Maiava. First time we've been back on the practice field in a couple of days. So what were just some of your overall takeaways from today's practice?
Well, it was a little chilly, a little quiet, but the main thing I took away just, standing by the tunnel because we don't watch practice anymore is that this team looks the healthiest they've been all season. Looks like Kamari Ramsey, Jacoby Covington, both of those guys were in their pads and no yellow non-contact jersey. Also, you got Braylon Shelby back, you got Mason Cobb, you got Gavin Meyer, you got Easton Mascarenas Arnold. Those are some guys that got a little bit of extra rest last week for the bye week, guys who have taken a lot of snaps, but it's looking like everyone is going to be pretty healthy for the return to the field after the bye week against homecoming Nebraska.
And Lincoln Riley mentioned on Trojans Live yesterday that not only was USC having guys that were battling injuries and not being able to make the games that are being able to benefit from the bye week, but guys that were playing that were still banged up are really able to take advantage of the bye week. And that's what you're looking for, is guys that get healthy. They're able to shake off some of those days where they're not feeling great. And some of the guys are like a day or two behind in terms of how their body feels, and they're recovering slower later on in the season, and that's something that can really be helped out from a bye week this late in the year.
Absolutely, and the person I'm thinking of the most is Gavin Meyer, who has pretty much played through every ailment that you could possibly think of. He is bandaged up, braced up. He's a walking mummy at this point, so it was good to see him not practicing last week. Get the big man some extra rest because they are going to need him down the stretch here.
And two pieces of USC news came out today. They were kind of back-to-back, and one positive, one negative. USC will be wearing throwback uniforms on the field for homecoming, so that was a piece of good news. But then it felt like about an hour later or so, it was announced that USC is going under NCAA probation for some of the rules that they violated in terms of the number of coaches participating and analysts giving coaching when they weren't supposed to back in 2022 and 2023. Something that was illegal then but is legal now, and yet USC is penalized a $50,000 fine and a year of probation.
Very interesting. Obviously, the whole discourse from USC Twitter and on the message boards have been NCAA picking on USC again. Again, as you mentioned, this was something that was illegal then but is now completely legal now with the changes with the analyst rules. They can do a lot more. They can do a lot more coaching. They have a lot less restrictions on them, and this was something that was done very early at the time of Lincoln Riley. Obviously, there was talk about potentially a suspension at the head coach level for Lincoln Riley because, the head coach responsibility, the NCAA takes that pretty seriously. But there is no suspension of Lincoln Riley. It's just a $50,000 fine and some restrictions moving forward for some of the analysts that were involved in the last couple years when this happened. So in the big scheme, not that important. Lincoln Riley had no real comment on it. He said, we put this behind us. We dealt with this months ago, so didn't really have anything to offer other than the statement that Jennifer Cohen, the AD, put out earlier.
Yeah, and I think, we've seen examples all across college football of teams that have been caught doing things far worse, and it doesn't seem like the things that have been levied against them have stymied them in any kind of way. Michigan was caught with a cheating scandal that covered, a couple of years and won the national championship. They were fine, and obviously they're dealing with issues now, but it has nothing to do with that. So I would assume USC will be fine. The only thing is you have to be a little bit more careful when you're on probation. So if USC gets caught for something in the next year, they're, at a higher danger level, per se, than they would have been if the probation hadn't been put against them.
Yeah, just don't have any screw-ups on your one-year probation, and you can go back to doing whatever you want.
Lincoln Riley did mention he wanted to say a little bit more, but that it was either he couldn't or he shouldn't. He wasn't exactly clear, but he said, I wish I could discuss it more, and then kind of left it at that, and he really left it to Jennifer Cohen's statement. But that was kind of the big piece of news. The other thing was the throwback uniforms, which the players, Chris, are obviously very excited for. It's a nod to the 1972 jerseys with different paneling on the sleeves. Seems like something that USC players and USC fans have been wanting for a long time. It's not an alternate, but it's a throwback, and I'm curious to see what the reception is going to be like in the YouTube comment section.
I think it's going to be positive. I think, obviously USC, a very traditional, classic look, never have the names on the back, an iconic uniform, an iconic helmet, iconic symbolism with their uniform. So I know a lot of people don't want that change. Don't go modern. You can't go Oregon or Maryland with all their color combinations and uniform combinations. But I think the kids just want a little bit of variety. So going with the throwback is nice. If you've seen them online, I think they look pretty nice. Little modern twist on the classics. And we got to talk to Deuce Robinson, who was part of the marketing for that. He's part of that video they put out and those photos. He said it was an honor to be chosen because USC is such a traditional program, and to be able to bring that back to USC and showcase it this weekend, they're very excited, and they hope it can be a spark for the team that is 4-5 in need of a big spark.
Yeah, band got a little bit louder as we were recording this. We got to talk to Lincoln Riley today. We mentioned he was kind of mum on the NCAA probation. Did you take anything else away from what Lincoln Riley had to say today?
No, not really. I mean, he was actually talked more than I thought he would about it, but yeah, he was pretty much, we put it behind us, moving forward, looking towards Nebraska, which is going to have a familiar face on the sideline for him and a little bit of twist for their offense going into this weekend. So I think that's kind of another big story out of his talking points today.
Yeah, former coaching mate of Lincoln Riley, Dana Holgerson, who I believe was the former Houston head coach, but he was hired a week ago as an analyst for Nebraska, and just a couple days ago they named him as the offensive coordinator for this week against USC. So he was new to the building a week ago. Now he's going to be calling the offensive plays. Coached at Texas Tech with Lincoln Riley. Those two have a long relationship, and Lincoln Riley says they share many memories, and they'll be the two play callers in this game. So it's Lincoln Riley, as he's got this long tradition of being the offensive play caller wherever he's been, and at USC he's had a chance to build the offense over a couple of years, but he's got a new quarterback. On the other side, Nebraska has an offensive coordinator that was hired a week ago.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Probably the most interesting storyline outside of Jayden Maiava being the starter for USC, but how much can you really change an offense after coming in a week ago? You don't really know the players, you don't know the personnel, you don't know what's going on, and Lincoln Riley was asked that, and he wasn't really sure. It won't be a seismic shift of their offense, but getting a fresh voice in there, a different outlook at the OC position, obviously that can lead to success, especially if you're preparing for one thing and then you got a new guy coming in there. It's a little bit of a wild card with their offense, but obviously Lincoln Riley has a relationship and a background with Dana, so he might know the way he thinks a little bit, so maybe he'll be passing that on to Dan Lynn.
Yeah, and the wrinkle for USC is obviously Jayden Maiava, who we got to speak to again today. He said that the number one thing he's learned from this bye week the most important thing has just been time. More time to learn the offense, more time to build relationships with receivers, more time to grow into a leader, and it seems like that's the thing he's cherished most about having the bye week to prepare for his first start.
Yeah, you're the starting quarterback, you're QB number one, you're kind of the face of the team, you're the leader of the team in that sense, so just him as a transfer, he's had to build relationships with a lot of these guys, and they're going to be looking to him in the huddle. So having this extra time with the bye week to get the motions of running the huddle, that's big. That's big for him, that's big for the team, and you're starting to see a little more after practice. More receivers are working with him, joking around a little more with them, building that chemistry. So I'm excited to see what it turns into for this offense on Saturday.
Deuce Robinson called him a natural playmaker, and plenty of other guys chimed in. Mekhi Lemon said one of his first reactions to seeing Jayden Maiava play is he can throw that deep ball, man. And I think that's what USC fans are looking for, and Trojan fans in general just wanting a spark from the quarterback position.
Yeah, spark is a big word this week, whether it's uniforms, whether it's a new quarterback under center. Will USC get that spark? Because they really need this win. You got UCLA next week, a rivalry game. Then you got Notre Dame, a top team out of these three teams you're facing. So you need two to get a bowl win. Nebraska, 3-game slide. They're looking for a spark as well with their new OC. So it's two teams looking for a spark. Who's going to light first?
And I have a feeling if USC loses this one, going to be pretty tough to make it into a bowl game. It already is an uphill battle, but if you can't win this one and you have to beat both of your rivals, history tells you that doesn't happen every single year where you beat both UCLA and Notre Dame. So we'll see if USC is able to ride a spark and get a win this weekend. But that's all we've got for you guys today. It's getting dark out now with daylight savings time, so bear with us with the spots in the band. But for Chris Treviño, I'm Jack Smith. Thanks for watching Instant Analysis. We'll see you next time.